It's not the Bahamas we're used to seeing in the holiday brochures. But the biggest hurricane ever to hit land here didn't just rip buildings apart. It's turned people against each other. I'm heading into the disaster zone to find out why. What's happened since the world's press left? This is Elbow Key, a tiny island ravaged by winds of up to 220 miles an hour.
This is what's left of Hopetown Harbour. See the damage that's been done by the hurricane to all these houses. This was an incredibly popular spot with American second homeowners, many of whom are now going to have to rebuild if they'll ever be able to come back here again. Let's get this up. And if you can pass me some stuff up, that'd be great.
The official death toll is 61, but hundreds are still missing. The place looks like a war zone. Before the hurricane, 500 people lived here, Bahamians as well as Americans with holiday homes, plus about 100 Haitian workers. It's the homeowners who are coordinating the relief effort. I've been told to ask for Mike Haig, an American yacht salesman with a second home on Elbow Key.
Hello. Looking for Mike.
Hey Shay, what's happening?
Nice to meet you.
Mike Haig. Nice
Thanks
to
for
meet you.
having
You
us.
guys made it, huh?
Yeah, we made it. How bad is the damage on this island?
There's about 20% that are habitable, and that being habitable, I mean, parked well enough to have a dry spots for cover. We're still working towards getting basic needs met.
They're struggling to bring in food shipments as the harbour was destroyed.
I have some donations for you guys.
So he's off to meet charity workers to check out a possible landing spot.
Anybody uptown at the landing zone or has a vehicle near the landing zone that can meet the helicopter coming in?
Oh, wow.
Look up here, I'm on with someone on channel.
It's an abandoned holiday resort. As we walk in, it's pretty clear that people have been sleeping here.
There's been a bunch of Haitian people kind of living here. Last night, I mean, there were a bunch of guys, they're all working together. We brought water and food to them just to try to kind of get a gauge and see what was happening.
With Haiti just 500 miles away, many have come to the Bahamas to find work in the tourism industry. The hurricane destroyed many of their homes, so they're sheltering here. Mike thinks the number of Haitians on Elbow Key has trebled.
More and more Haitian migrants have moved here and started squatting in these different structures. The people who live here work for the second homeowners on the island.
But with many of those second homes now in ruins, most of these workers no longer have jobs. And under Bahamian law, that means they should leave the country.
How many people do you think are living here?
I'd say more than 50.
I don't think people would choose to sleep rough here, so where are they coming from? I'm heading to the neighbouring island of Abaco, a much larger island and home to about 3,500 Haitians before the hurricane hit.
Wow.
In the brochures, this was known as the Yachtsman's Paradise.
It's heartbreaking. It's like a graveyard for expensive-looking boats. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure the owners of the boats are insured, but it's bigger than them. This is about the people who clean them, who wax them, who sell them around for most of the year. Everybody who relies on all of this needs the owners of these boats to come back and reinvest in the area.
Away from the posh bits, the workers had built their own neighbourhood. It's all gone.
This used to be a shanty town called the Mud. There were thousands of people living here. And like semi-illegal settlements all over the world, it was It was ramshackle, it was made up as it went along. But I'm told this was like a city within a city. You can barely see it now, it's just Armageddon.
The presence of Haitian workers has long been controversial. Last year, the government tried to have this shantytown demolished, saying it would help the Haitian migrants to integrate, but it was blocked by a court order. Now, the hurricane has done it for them.
The longer I stand here, the more depressing it gets. I'm standing on people's hopes and dreams. You can see it.
The Bahamian building code doesn't allow structures that are unsafe or unsanitary. And so the government says that's why it's refusing to allow former residents to rebuild here. But the knock-on effect for Haitians who lived here means deportation, as even if they have a work permit and a job, they can't stay if they don't have a home. I've heard some are sheltering in what's left of another settlement further up the coast.
We're just arriving in an area called The Farm. I'm told it used to be a citrus farm years ago, but when the owners closed up, the workers, most of them Haitian migrants, stayed here, and more people have joined them over the last few decades. And as you can see, it's a bit of a shanty town hidden in the jungle.
But people here are worried, as there are rumours that if you go to a shelter, you could get deported.
This community's not really supposed to be here. The government don't want them here. A lot of people are thinking that this could be taken as an opportunity by the government to try and get people out and maybe gentrify the area somewhat. But at the moment, very few people have any idea actually how many people are living here, how many houses there are.
Who's level 1? Give that to him.
I come across an aid organisation handing out books salvaged from a school.
It's so cute, all the kids gathering around trying to get hold of school books. The truth is it's September. Schools should really have started now, but most of their schools have been destroyed. So these kids, really, if they're going to be able to continue their education, they kind of have to do it themselves.
That's at level 5.
In the middle, I find 16-year-old Daphna helping out.
So, Daphna, what are you hoping to find?
Reading books, actually.
Yeah?
For recreational purposes.
Okay. Oh, they've got little school bags.
What's in them?
I don't know. That's
It's
cute.
sad to see that you have equipment for school, but there's no school.
But there's no school.
Yeah. Like, I have all my uniforms, socks, and shoes, and everything ready. I didn't lose them because I packed them and went march forever with them. But my books and everything, they're gone. It's devastating.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Look
How
at
many
it.
GCSEs were you doing this year?
3.
3,
Because
which
I
ones?
already did 5.
The hurricane hit just before she found out her grades. Right now, she's more worried that the aid workers will soon leave. They tell her that they're hoping aid will keep coming for many months.
And people who want to help now, what we're saying to them is, you'd be much more helpful if rather than coming now, there's lots of people, internationals here trying to help. You'd be better coming in like 2 weeks' time. You know, you'd be better coming in a month's time. That would be a much better thing for you guys.
I think you're very sensible to worry about it, to be honest.
Daphna's only 16, but she knows what's at stake for everybody here.
Hello.
She agrees to show me how her family is now living.
Bonjour. How are you?
Her stepmom Elmead points from the tent they now sleep in to what's left of their family home, as Daphna tells me how they survived the storm.
We were on top of a hill, so the flood didn't affect us much. And when we looked outside, everything was destroyed, and when you place your hand on the wall, you could feel the vibration of the wind shaking the house. And we were so we were so scared that we were going to die.
So which one was your room?
This
was
my
your room?
Yes, sir.
Daphna has never been to Haiti. She was born in this house. It's all she knows. And she might have to leave.
We don't know exactly what's the government planning to do or anything.
You've got exams, you've got a whole life to plan for.
It's very frustrating because you never know like when it's gonna happen. You don't know if school's gonna open next year or the next year after that. I don't know where my plans are at the moment. Everything is paused for now.
How old are you?
Her brother Elijah turns up, proud of his newly found supplies.
What stuff have you got?
Stuff for me.
Yeah, let me see.
Drink water, clean water.
Oh yeah, for cleaning water. That's going to be useful. You know how to use it?
Yeah.
Did they show you?
Yeah.
Good. That's going to be really useful.
I leave him turning a bucket into a water purifier and Daphna looking after her sister. A family in need of so much, trying to make the best of things. But elsewhere on the farm, I find more evidence of how their future is in doubt. This charity is setting up a water supply, even though they say they've been warned by the government not to encourage people to stay here.
This is an incredibly politically sensitive situation. You've got some workers there from a European country that I won't name. This is an illegal settlement, so while they want to provide these people with water, they can't be seen to be doing so. So they've asked us not to mention which country they're from and not to show them setting this up because the Bahamas government won't like it at all.
The government has denied it warns charities to stay away. It's told us it provided shelter, food and educational assistance in official camps in the aftermath of the hurricane. And it's in the process of establishing a family relief centre on Abaco. That's where it says it wants these people to move to temporarily, while they get their lives in order. Nighttime, and with no electricity or running water, conditions in the farm are tough. Back at Daphna's, the whole family is crammed into a tiny tent. And Dad's home. Abaki was a gardener and wants to find more work. But first he needs a new work permit, and that's impossible if you don't have a job or your home was destroyed by the storm. He now fears the family will be deported.
What's your biggest concern now? What's the biggest problem for you?
Prime Minister a dit que pinga personne batikay et on va connaître ça pour nous faire, ça pour pas faire. Yeah.
I don't know if the Prime Minister said that, but the government certainly has.
Will you end up having to go back to Haiti?
Parce que d'abord si moun yo pa connaît Haïti, yon moi-même sur Haïti et jeune garçon pour nyam grand moun.
Daybreak and Abaki is patching up their house, despite the government's ban on rebuilding in this area.
Hey, there he is. Abaki! How are you? Oh yeah, you're painting?
Yeah.
You don't want them to think that it's been knocked down?
Oh no. No. If you build new house, now you could get problem.
With no new building materials available, he's recycling. Every nail has been salvaged and reused. But it's a risk. Just this week, the government announced that the farm was going to be cleared and fenced off.
I see you putting in all this work into this house, and I'm afraid they're going to come and knock it down. They say that's what they want to do.
Yeah. So I try moi essayer faire ça alors m'ba connait si m'a bon, comprendre? Alors on va fin faire là après le gouvernement le gouvernement yo vini yo craser.
It's hard to watch a family fighting to get back on its feet, all the while knowing that many people just want them gone.
Do you feel like people here want you and your family and the Haitian people here at all?
I don't think they want us here. They want all of us to leave because we're like, you know, like I think we're set back for them or anything. And we're building these houses and they're not happy about it. Honestly, when I have the age to, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find a better life for me and my family.
I've come back to the neighbouring island of Elbow Key, where Mike and his colleagues are meeting the Deputy Mayor, John Pinder. He's been talking to the government about how to deal with the Haitian migrants, many of whom have now moved here from other islands.
What's the plan?
I could explain it to you, but we're going to have a closed session.
Okay, well, can we have a closed discussion now then?
Yeah.
All right.
In the meeting, I can overhear the Deputy Mayor saying he's minded to call in the Defence Force to sweep the whole island and remove all the illegal Haitian migrants.
The organisers here are starting to become increasingly alarmed. They think that the number of Haitian migrants is possibly up to 400. They have absolutely no idea. All options are on the table. They could call the defence force and have people rounded up, or they could try and deal with it themselves as a community.
The team running the relief effort are split, but the deputy mayor makes it clear after the meeting that he wants the authorities to get the migrants out.
Hopefully they'll be able to, bring it under control before it roots out the local Bahamian populace here.
When you say roots out the local population, displaces. Really?
2 or 3 generations from now, I'm 8th generation. There's a lot of us that are, and we've settled this island from the ancestors settled it from nothing. And for us to be here 8 generations from now is the time to lay the groundwork for all of our future children and children's children.
Back at the abandoned holiday resort, a shipment of aid arrives, organised not by the government, but instead by the island's residents.
Elbow Key is said to be one of, if not the richest island in the Bahamas in terms of the net worth of the people who own homes here. And if you want to know what that looks like in the aftermath of a hurricane, it looks like that.
But will any of this aid go to help those in the most need here? In the command centre, Mike is struggling with the outcome of the earlier meeting. He spent time in Haiti after the 2010 earthquake that drove many Haitians to the Bahamas.
How's it going, guys?
We have a huge problem and there's huge issues. Everybody wants the labor and everyone wants them to work, but no one wants them to be here and no one wants to pay them. The immediate aid that's come in has not reached that community, and that community was the first group of people to clean the streets and to clean up the settlement and clear the roads. And they're the last ones to receive aid, and there's a huge population of people here who don't want these people on the island.
And how does that make you feel?
I came here personally to Hopetown was because of the integration and community, because of the local Bahamian people of all color going to the school and being together. And I wanted my family to kind of grow up in a place like this. But I didn't expect any of this, when we bought our house here earlier this year. So, it's very personal to me, all of this.
As dusk falls, another boatload of aid arrives, but it's far from water and basic food supplies. It's a luxury delivery of steaks, lobster and beer. Called in to help unload it, Haitian workers. Haitian people in the Bahamas have long faced stigma and discrimination. Before the hurricane, these were barely concealed tensions. Now, they've been dragged to the fore. The government told us, after the hurricane hit, it had put the repatriation of undocumented migrants on hold. But this has since been resumed as per the Bahamian Immigration Act, adding, Hurricane Dorian did not change the laws of the Bahamas. Before I leave, I head back to Abaco Island to see Daphna. She's at the farm's first church service since the hurricane hit, given by family friend Pastor Jensen.
Don't give up. Stay focused. The enemy wants us to be distracted, but don't be distracted. Keep hope alive.
Later, I head to her house and discover her fear that the aid workers would soon leave has now happened.
It's been over a week since I was last here, and the difference is quite noticeable. This is where all the international aid organisations used to stop and hand things out. So local people were always gathered around here, waiting to see what they were going to be brought, but they're not here anymore. Hiya. How are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you. How's things going?
I'm leaving Monday afternoon. I'm going to Nassau for schooling.
Really?
So yeah.
Pastor Jensen has pulled some strings so she can go back to school.
So who are you going to live with in Nassau?
I'm going to live with my pastor daughter.
Okay.
Who he hooked me up with.
Great. So does that mean you'll be able to finish your GCSEs this year?
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of changes in 1 week.
I'm ready for the pressure. If it's ready for me.
That's good. But you'll be away from the family?
Unfortunately, yes.
Are you worried?
I'm worried that officials would come here and like they'll throw my parents out. Like, and my parents knowing that they don't have anywhere to go. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about mostly.
All right. So, is your dad at home?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Should we go see him?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, wow. I can see your dad's put a roof on.
Yeah.
He's made progress.
Yeah.
How's things? You made progress.
Their house is beginning to look more like a home. But for how long?
Because it's starting to sound like sometime in the next few weeks, someone's going to come down here and tell you to move on.
If people tell me move, I get one van, I take my family, put in the van, live in here.
Yeah?
Yep.
The Haitian population in the Bahamas have always had to deal with being at the bottom of the pile. Everybody looks down on them, from the American tourists to the local Bahamans, whether they're black or white. But right now, after the hurricane, when everybody has lost so much, they find themselves pushed even further down. And right now, it's a struggle not just for survival, but for their position in the country. Yeah. How do you ride a bike without shoes on? That looks painful. Is it? Okay, I trust you. How's your brother?
He's awesome.
Thanks for watching. Click the logo to subscribe for more award-winning documentaries from the Unreported World team. We upload videos every Sunday, keeping you up to date with content from all over the world.